Bearcat Bounce Podcast. Back at it again. Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Monday to all you Bearcat fans out there who were able to take in a victory. Yes, that's right. A basketball victory. The basketball team looking to make a final push towards a slim glimmer of hope of making it to the big dance. One win at a time, step by step, 10 toes in, 2 feet down. Big win on Saturday against Kansas State. Also, it's a Monday following the first spring practice for the football team. Year 2 Coach Scott Satterfield era. Year 2 Big 12. And it's also a Monday where a legend, an absolute legend, GOAT, any way you want to put it, one of the best centers to ever play the game, retires from the game of football in a heart-filled, nice ending soccer. So I'm going to bring in my guys. It's a Monday. We're bringing pals, and I'm slowly making it through this because we don't have everyone as of right now. So we're hoping that he's able to get in here by the end of this diatribe. But without further ado, Chad Brendel, Aaron Smith. We got two of us. Aaron, are you still in here? How are we?
Good. I'm typing away, trying to get everything from practice today up on the board before we get rolling here. I just got it posted, so we will definitely talk about some spring football. But if you want kind of some of the insider notes from today, those are now on the Bearcat Journal message board. If you're not a member, what are you doing? What are you doing? You should be.
Man.
Rocking out. It's gonna be a very hectic week. We are going to be moving the BCJ pod this week from Wednesday to Thursday. Just wanted everybody to know that now. Apparently, I did not know this. They have a spring volleyball. It's kind of like spring football, but they get to play somebody else.
Okay.
So Wednesday there will be spring football, and then right after spring football, Cincinnati is playing Kentucky in volleyball at Fifth Third Arena. So Kelce wanted to go to that. So after practice, I will be taking Kelce to the volleyball game. So that'll kind of thwart our plans for the BCJ pod on Wednesday. So just talk to Dave, and I'm clearing it with Aaron now. But we're going to move the BCJ pod to Thursday.
You free, Aaron? You available?
Cool.
If not, we'll make it work. We'll find a way one way or another. But I don't think you want to start at like 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, do you?
We're doing that on Tuesday, so I don't know that 2 days in a row is ideal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. Otherwise, I'm doing terrible. But, we're here and we'll make it through. You asked. I'm honest. I'm not doing well.
You know what? And honesty is the best policy, man. If you're doing terrible, say it. Let it out.
I am.
But
I did.
I enjoy the honesty. Aaron, I need the honesty out of you. How are we?
I'm a little stressed. I haven't heard anything from the kids since we started this. I'm the only parent here currently, and quiet is never a good thing, as any parent out there can attest. So
your house is gonna burn down in 4 minutes if you don't go check on things.
I'm gonna go check on things.
Okay. Well, hey, I guess
it's just us, buddy. It's just us.
If a house is burning, that's one thing. You're probably gonna drive by in your vehicle, take a quick glance and say, "What is that house?" What are those commercials where it's the guy that always is dinged up and doing different car wrecks and stuff. Well, you know what?
Mayhem. Allstate, right? Mayhem.
Yeah, Allstate.
Mayhem, is that what it is?
Yeah. That's it. So, but we don't want you to call Allstate. We want you to go over to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Tell Danco Joe, man, house is burning. Aaron Smith, he drew my attention too far away. Can you help me out? Danco Joe, he'll hook you up. 10% off your next fixing. $10 off your next oil change. Just talk to Danco Joe. Tell him Chad sent you. Aaron sent you. Tell him, Aaron's burning house there in Athens, Ohio sent you. Danco Joe, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Love you, Joe. Chad, so we had a little pre-show meeting, one of the quick variety types. And we knew we were going to be without Aaron for a little bit. We knew we were going to be without Ryan for a little bit. So we aren't going to get
we didn't know that right away. It took a while.
Right. It's understood. It's understood, but it's a little bit longer pushed out today. But
yeah.
So we're gonna save the meat and bones segments for a little bit later, and I want to talk about the thing that happened today that's kind of sweeping the sports world for the most part, especially sweeping
it's insane
the NFL.
How much this man is loved.
Oh,
it's unbelievable. It's national news. It's not sports news. It's national news that Jason Kelce retired today. That's unbelievable.
44-minute video. I think it was 41 with that long intro waiting or whatnot.
Worth every second.
Right. I think if you take out the difficulty of getting some of the words out, it would have been around like 25 to 30 minutes long, but that would have taken all the emotion of what makes Jason Kelce. So
that's an emotional man.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? The legend retires today, hanging it up. Chad, go ahead and just give me your thoughts. I know you posted about it, but real quick though, I just wanted to give off these stats. Everyone knows them out there, but it's amazing to say it in a row. And this was, obviously tweeted out today among many different, good tweets about Jason, but 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. He owns the top sportscast in the country. He has his own youth charity, has his own documentary, which is awesome. I highly suggest going to see it. It's on Amazon. Awesome. Own line of apparel, 2 Christmas albums. Yet again, awesome. He's got a great voice. And the other lineman, I don't know his name. Like he goes like, "Why I'm dreaming." Really good singer. And $82 million in career earnings. That is what it is. 13 years, all in Philly, hanging it up.
He's gonna make a lot more than $82 million coming up.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it today, Brent. You know what's gonna happen?
What's that?
I'm convinced of this. If he wants to, and I can't see Jason ever just like walking into the sunset and like walking away from any of this. Like it's so much him.
Yeah.
Like we are going to have to, like 15 years from now, we are going to have to remind people that Jason Kelce played football. Like, I think he's going to become that much a part of, I wouldn't be shocked. He has had 13 seasons for an offensive lineman, one of the greatest careers in the history of football.
Right.
He's inarguably one of the top 2 or 3 centers of all time, arguably the number 1 player at his position in the history of the sport. He won a Super Bowl. Aaron's house isn't on fire, so that's good.
We're good.
2
out of 3 out cold.
Well, didn't you get lucky?
The oldest and the youngest.
The middle one, you got to watch out for the middle one. You always got to watch out for the middle.
I can attest to that.
In bed, watching YouTube on his Switch. We're good.
Okay. That's as locked in as it gets.
Yeah.
I think he has a chance to leave a legacy over the next 13 years bigger than the massive one he left over the first 13. But like I said, I'm not going to have as much fun on Sundays anymore. Like I just, he's probably the only offensive lineman ever. I watch the Eagles a ton. I don't watch anything but Jason when they I just watch him pull and move and run down the field and blow people up and like do things that somebody at that position has never done before. I'm sure now that that's like the prototype, but we'll see more Jason Kelce types, but I don't know how many Jason Kelces there are out there. But seeing this chapter end is bittersweet because he's a legend. Like he is a legend. I think he's going to be better at the next chapter, and that's insane. But I don't know that he could be bad at anything. Honestly, like he just seems like he's one of those guys that whatever that fuck he did, he would be good at it.
Yeah, I agree. It's his hardworking mentality that he kept on mentioning. You know, the fact that when he was growing up, he played rugby. He was LeBron James in rugby, but then he played
Lacrosse.
football, and he wasn't. I forget what player he mentioned, but he was.
He also played lacrosse. He also played hockey. Yeah.
Oh yeah, lacrosse. I meant lacrosse. Did I say rugby? I used to play rugby. That's why I wanted to give like a little humble brag. But anyway, yeah, he said he was LeBron James in lacrosse, and he, mentioned how football was the one that gave him a challenge, and he loved that. And then he also mentioned coming to Cincinnati, and I hate to say it, he got emotional a lot. But if you don't watch that and don't get emotional yourself at numerous times, it's hard to get through that without things getting a little dusty in the air, man. Because he just pushes certain buttons that you feel emotionally. So I was blown away by it. One of my favorite parts was when he mentioned how he loved D'Antonio, loved the grit and the physicality that he coached with in Cincinnati. It was a good first year. The strength coach that he mentioned kind of tore him apart. But then he said when Brian Kelly came in, yes, it was awesome with Brian, but Paul Longo is the name. He brought in Paul Longo, and he said one day Paul Longo whispered to him and said, I think you'd be a hell of a center. So that part is just awesome. Chad, you're muted if you were trying to say something, but then he mentioned how
Longo was awesome. He was
Yeah.
he was an awesome, like, he would have been made for this. We wouldn't have been able to get Longo off of a podcast. Like, you know, sometimes Nico will stay a little longer, and like Brady would be up way past his bedtime. Longo would be like, "How long you guys going? Let's talk ball." And he would have sat here and talked ball for hours.
I mean, I'm in. I would be it. Obviously, that like those years that Jason had in Cincinnati genuinely were some of his best years. He said that numerous times. He went on fully talking about that in more memories, and obviously he mentioned numerous times if I wanted to go off on tangents on each one of these topics, that I would be here for way too long. So I thought it was very, very beautifully written. When he kind of got all the football stuff out of the way and started touching on family, that's when you saw the curtains being pulled back, which the entire world is seeing those curtains being pulled back every single step of the way the past few years. So it was awesome. And for everyone who's Bearcat fans to have the ability to say that, he's a Bearcat, reps the C all the time, loves to see him, and obviously Travis as well. But it's just an awesome thing to see. And retirements happen only once, unless you're Brett Favre or someone else along those lines. But retirements only happen once. And when it's a player of this magnitude, it needs to get a little love. It needs to get a little pub, especially on a Bearcat only podcast here on the BBP. So, Aaron, thoughts on what transpired throughout the day today?
I think Mo emulated it best when he said that he followed him because he was a Bearcat, but after getting to see what he did in the NFL, that who's not a fan of him at this point, right? Like, I think that his crowning moment came after the Super Bowl as he dressed up in the Philly,
the Mummers costume,
the Philly special, and delivered his Super Bowl speech. But he's a guy that is incredibly easy to root for. He's an everyday man, right? Like you could see you look at him, and I feel like you can see him being a carpenter or a plumber or just whatever, insert whatever every man job is. And I feel like that's why he's so easy to root for, to just kind of sync with and feel like, that's our guy. Not just as a Bearcat, but as just a guy, like a guy's guy. And
the fact that he mentioned his dad, giving him that blue collar, hardworking, steel mentality. Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that when Chad talks about, the next 13 years might be as big, if not bigger than the last 13 years, I think that's because we're actually getting to know him. I mean, really get to see the peek behind the curtains and get to see the personality, not just the guy on the field who is doing everything that's asked for him and then some, but we're getting to see the personality and getting to know the real Jason Kelce. And I think that that's going to be nothing but, I feel like this is the tip of the iceberg with what is to come for him. So yeah, again, just easy guy to root for. The fact that he's going to be enshrined in Canton forever is just a feather in the cap of the Bearcat program. He went on to thank every coach he had at Cincinnati, including one assistant in particular who's still with the program, Kerry Combs. So just you're looking for recruiting things that you can throw out to kids. Jason Kelce still appreciates this guy. He's something special. So I don't know, just a lot there to unpack. I haven't even gotten to watch the entire thing, even watching it 2 times speed. I'm about halfway through, and there was a lot of crying to get through.
He's a crier. He is absolutely a crier. I am too.
Me too. Chad, it got a little dusty for you, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, it's like, I don't want to portray this as we're like friends or like, buddies or whatever, but he's always been available to me. He's always been kind. I know some people know this, not everybody knows this. Tim and I did like an hour and 20-minute podcast with Jason. I think like 2018, maybe 2017, 2018. And for whatever reason, the recording software that we used long before Skype and StreamYard and all that,
before the pandemic made it imperative to have good technology like that.
When I hit stop on the recording, the file corrupted. And I almost cried. Like, it was so freaking good. And we lost all of it. And immediately he was like, man, I would, like, if I had the time to do it again, I would. But like, I'm literally out the door to an event. And we have talked on and off about getting him on again, and schedules, that's a very busy man. And I think he also liked to, during the season, go into hibernation for a little while with his family. Once he started having kids. So we haven't made it work, but we're still efforting. There's still been communication within the past couple weeks on potentially getting him on here sometime in the not terribly distant future. But that's I've told the story. We were supposed to, it was 2 years ago, and Zach Caleros had just come off winning a Grey Cup. And I saw Zach at spring ball and was like, hey, we'd love you to come on Monday night. He agreed. He called me that like late morning, and he was like, look, man, I'm sorry, but I am on vacation with my wife, and we are at her sister's house. And I didn't think she would care if I just went into the other room and did a podcast while we were at her sister's house on vacation. And then when I told her about it this morning, she cared. She was like, absolutely not. You are not doing a podcast from the spare room at my sister's house when we're here to spend time with my sister and her kids and their family. So Zach had to bow out. And I was like, well, trying to figure out like what we could do to get somebody in Zach's place. So out of nowhere, I called Jason. And Jason answers, which he almost always, I very rarely call him, but most of the times I've ever placed that call, he is answered the phone. With for somebody of his stature, that's not common.
Right.
And I was like, look, man, we were supposed to have Zach on. I told him what Zach did. He laughed, and he's like, look, brother, I would absolutely come on your podcast tonight, but it is my anniversary, and I am in the car with Kylie, taking her out for the day. And if I came on your podcast, I would get it worse than Zach. And she was like, all she said in the background was, yep. That was my first and only interaction with Kylie Kelce, was Jason declining to come on the podcast because they were going out to celebrate their anniversary. So
I mean,
that's who he is, though, man. Like, he appreciates where he's from. He appreciates everything that helped get him here. He was an absolute blast to cover. He got in a fight in practice every day. Every day. It wasn't a practice if all of a sudden at some point you didn't hear 30 whistles blowing and people pulling Jason Kelce off of a defensive lineman.
There we go.
Like, that's who he was. The famous story where he took a helmet and threw it 3/4 of the way up the lower bowl at Nippert Stadium from the middle of the field. Not like he was over on the sidelines and like threw it standing there. No, he threw it from the middle of the field up the part where it gets steep. I don't know. The whole, like, so the reality of like naming Kelce what we did, it wasn't like, I think Jason Kelce is going to be the greatest center of all time, so I'm naming my kid after him. Right. It was, we were looking for a girl name, and Kelce is, a very popular girl name, but I'm like, we could put a little Bearcat spin on it and make it look like Kelce. You add a letter, you add the little E in there to give it its own thing, but like, he embraced that. He always laughs about it. He always, he finds it humorous that, somebody named their daughter, of all things, after him. Kelce cried the first time I showed her Jason's picture when she was like 3 years old. I swear to God.
Scary man.
I swear to God. She was like, I'm not named after him.
It's the boogeyman.
But I will tell you this. To go from there, when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and everybody knows Kelce's a diehard Travis like stan, and even more so now with the Taylor stuff. Aaron loves it. Her and Aaron have a beautiful relationship, bonding over Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. But I looked over at the end of that Super Bowl, and they were showing Jason on the sidelines, and he's like, tearing up and getting emotional, and Kelce is like tearing up and getting emotional. And I'm like, you like Jason. You love Jason. And she's like, I just feel sad that, he didn't get it. I'm like, yeah, but you're happy Travis won. But like, no, I think she was equally like upset that Jason wasn't going to get his second, because there was concern that he would retire last year. And I bet if they won the Super Bowl, he probably would have. I think he probably would have. That would have been the perfect way to walk out on top. They were so close, and the team was mostly going to stay intact. I think he thought, we can come back and we can get it next year. But she was, and that's because like through the podcast and through my interactions with him, like she got to know, like, this is an awesome guy. So it sucks. It sucks that we won't get to see him play on Sundays anymore. But what has happened to him couldn't possibly happen to a more deserving human than what he's got coming down the road. Yeah.
I was going to say, in most retirements, the player kind of just, vanishes. You remember them for a couple of years. They show some highlights. They show some like, oh, we miss him. Then he crops back up when he gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. But no, he's not going anywhere. So, just two last things on this, and then we'll roll into basketball. But, I loved when he talked about first Kylie, the first time that he saw Kylie when she, walked into the bar that he was at after a Christmas party, and just changed his life. He said, and then he said, about being a dad, and he said, and I'm a damn good dad, and I just loved it. Yeah, it's because the dude's as genuine as it gets, and genuinity is up there with one of the greatest qualities that anyone can have, and he's got loads of it. So hope to have him on the pod eventually. I mean, that would be literally amazing. So
it would literally be the biggest show we've ever done.
It would be amazing. Yes, it would.
And we've done some really big shows.
Yeah.
That one wouldn't be close.
We still make money on Rayvon Griffith's commitment every month.
It still shows up every month in the list.
Every month.
Yeah.
There we go.
In the top 10 every month. I don't understand.
There we go. Why not?
It was tough watching some of it, though. I mean,
yeah,
knowing what football meant to that guy and how much joy he got out of it. It sucks to see, he's what, 35, 36, something like that. Like, that's the end of your career. At least your playing days.
Right.
Sucks. But what a fucking run, man. What a run. To go from where he came from, walk-on linebacker, to one of the greatest NFL players ever and probably the greatest at his position.
Yep.
That's pretty damn good.
Pretty doggone good, man. Pretty doggone
Did mention that he wanted to be a present parent as well. That's worth mentioning in all of this. I'm still wading my ways through those waters.
Yep.
So kind of cool to see him.
One of us.
that was a very big deal to him and his family.
Yeah. No, he's the man. He really is. So, I mean, congratulations, obviously, to Jason, and go enjoy your family and whatever comes next. I'm sure every single Bearcat fan and everyone across the world will be tuned in and excited to see what unravels. So, shouts.
Could you imagine Aaron's head if Travis and Taylor just popped up on the screen one night for a show?
I'm sick.
No, I wouldn't tell him.
You would.
I wouldn't tell him. Oh. I would just pop them up. Like, all right, special guest time.
No.
Here's Travis and Taylor.
I'd bounce out so fast.
No, you would not.
I would. It's not a shtick. I would be all the way out on it.
Millions of people after you.
Okay, cool. Not worried about it. You and Chad and Ryan would handle them just fine.
Yeah, better believe that.
Brent would be uncontrollable if Taylor showed up.
Even more. That's whose head would explode.
Well, could you imagine
and excitement and good questions and good conversation? Duh.
Could you imagine my daughter if she found out that we were just podcasting with Taylor?
You'd have to be in a remote location. Brent would just be the Jonah Hill gif.
Sure.
Kelce would be crying in the background, like right here, like the dog, right there. But there's a much better chance that Jason joins us at some point down the road.
You know what? I wouldn't mind having the lady who refs the C-Paw at the Super Bowl, Kylie, join Jason for a little segment as well. That'd be fun.
She won't even go on their podcast. She's not coming on ours, dude.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, there's T Swizzle, but Kylie rocked the C-Paw at the damn Super Bowl. That's incredible. But anyway, shouts to Jason. Congratulations. Really long, successful career, obviously. A lot more fun things to come. So hats off to him. Awesome press conference. If you haven't seen it yet, just get some tissues ready. But you guys want to go ahead and timestamp this, and we'll roll into B-ball.
Well, what? Roll into B-ball? All right. Yeah. That timestamp brought to you by Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next-day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Bang. How about them Bearcats, baby? How about them Bearcats? 74-72 victory. Taking down Kansas State, a must-win game. It was a bubbly game, a very bubblicious game, if you will. And one where one bubble seemingly probably popped and the other one is still floating around, hoping to make a little move. Bearcats had a 13-point lead, 67-54, with 6:51 left in the game. But as we all know, these Bearcats, they are not ones for a little dramatic, little drama at the end for every single game. And of course, Kansas State made a comeback, due in large part to some crazy shots knocked in by Tyler Perry and a couple of others. But aside from that, they found a way. And yet again, Simas Lukosius comes up monstrous with a game-winning triple at the top of the key. A beautiful set play, Chad. We're going to obviously talk about that a little bit more. But, guys, I've got to lay this on you. I think it was either a mailbag question or it was a Riffing with Royer question. The question was, who is the finisher on the team? You know, end of game scenario, last second shot, last second offensive play needed. How about this? Quick stat I was able to drum up. End of game scenarios where there's going to be an offensive play and then a defensive stop is needed in order for the Bearcats to win. You know, there could be one final like where they foul and we go to the free throw line scenario. We saw that come out in a bad way one time this year. There has been 5 of those scenarios. 4 times. Sorry. Yes, 5 of those scenarios. Each time it was Simas who was given the opportunities. Well, Simas has been given 5 of those opportunities. He's made a bucket in 4 of them. The only time he didn't make a bucket in this end-of-game scenario was at Baylor, that corner 3. Every single other time he made a bucket, we're talking Texas Tech, we are talking UCF, we are talking on Saturday against Kansas State, and then the one that the Bearcats ended up losing at home against the Texas Longhorns. Ice in the veins, guys. Ice in the veins. A couple days removed, obviously, as we do here on the BBP. Main things that stuck out to the both of you after you had your nightcap, but a couple days to digest it. Big time win. Mammoth win.
I mean, I don't know that anything new really comes to mind. I thought we were pretty thorough on Saturday night, but I mean, you know, the 29 points of turnovers had been such a nagging problem for this team. And guess what? If they turned it over 15 times in that game, I mean, ugly. So they turned it over 6, and Kansas State turned it over 19, and Cincinnati gets 29 points. Also, if they do that thing they've done this year where they get the turnovers, but they can't get points off of them, you're also in trouble. They turned 19 points or 19 turnovers into 29 points. And that was what allowed them to build a lead and, you know, ultimately help them maintain that lead and get across the finish line with the W. I mean, it was just a massive turn of events from what we have seen from this team this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been ugly. Something that the man below me is not familiar with. Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, sir, how are we?
We're great. Just
All
a little
right.
bit late tonight, but it's
Ryan, as your boss, are you allowed to show up at GE just like whenever you want?
Well,
Do they have open hours?
you just have to hit your 40. So I'm gonna have to stay here after and do the show by myself for an extra 35 minutes probably. Yeah.
Roughly 40
I'll
something.
keep the fans entertained after you guys go.
Keegan,
You can redo the Jason Kelce segment in the final 30 minutes of the show.
Keegan,
Happy trails to the GOAT, the greatest walk-on ever, too. The king of walk-on nation.
the king of walk-on. Have you declared that? Is that anybody else proclaimed that?
I don't think it even needs a debate. He is the definite king. He is the greatest offensive lineman of all time in the NFL, in football history.
Center.
So, you could make an
Royer
argument.
saying, "Oh, lineman, let's roll with it, baby. Let's get emotional."
I mean, that Anthony Munoz guy was pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's not considered the greatest left tackle of all time. I'm not. I mean, look, I love Jason Kelce more than one man should love another man. I don't know that I'm ready to put him over Anthony Munoz on any lists, but this is his day, so we're not going to detract from it.
Yeah, Chad, you just took that whole little segue of the walk-on nation king, and you just had to stomp it down a little. Huh?
Well, but that's the walk-on nation king thing, right? Like, you can't be the greatest of all time. You got to just be like, Next notch, right below. I think he's the greatest center of all time. I think that's, I think he solidified that playing as great. He was better at the end of his career. He was still, PFF ranked him as the best center in football this year. Year 13. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and you're playing 13 years in the NFL at center. Like, that just shows the wear and tear that does on the body, and him being able to find ways through it.
Started every game.
Yeah.
He never missed. Never came out. They put him on the field as a rookie, and he never came out.
You can just tell how much he loves the game in his speech. He can't stop crying the whole time. I mean, a lot of guys, it's year 13. They've done everything you could ever want to do in a career, and it's easy to kind of say goodbye. But when you love the game like he did, and when you played the game like he did, at the level he played it with the love and passion and intensity, I mean, and the other thing too is when you're a guy like him and you do the things he did, say the things he said, and had people rally around him in ways unlike people I've ever really seen in the NFL, it's not only are you losing the ability to like go out on the football field and like play something you're really good at, but you're losing that, like, those connections you get to have on the daily basis, like being a leader, having people depend on you, getting to depend on others. I'm sure that's something, like, you can tell he's always been like a quote unquote locker room type of guy, a guy everyone loves. They'll play and die for. And that's the kind of guy that the game's going to miss, but he's going to miss that part of the game so much. And you can kind of tell in his speech the way it kind of hits him harder than most retirement speeches.
Yeah, I agree. It hit me too. I was crying. I'll fully admit it. But you know what, Ryan, thank you for your input on that. If you were here 15 minutes earlier, we would have been able to really dive in with you. But we gotta get back on basketball topics. And
oh shit, yeah, that one sport that's going on right now. I tend to forget about that one.
Spiggity sport. I'm so blown away that Chad and Aaron, you guys had no response or any excitement to that CMOS stat I just laid out there. It's a phenomenal
great stat. But I knew it. I knew it. I didn't.
Oh,
can I hear it,
you never said anything about it.
Let's keep doing this thing where we just redo the last 35 minutes, and
I'm gonna need you to send me $50 back.
I'll send you a prorated. I'll send you like, I don't know, like 10.
You don't want to get into that. Do you know how much we have to prorate?
How much?
I don't know. You're 15 minutes late every Monday, so
holy shit. All right. Eyes are wide open.
One guy who wasn't late was Simas Lukosius on that final possession. He was able to knock down a 3 at the top of the key. Yes, that's right. He's been giving 5 of these opportunities in a game scenarios to take the shot, to either clinch the win, to extend the lead, or take the lead. He's made 4 of 5. Royer, that's pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah. That is
Aaron,
really good.
Thank you.
Who are we debating? What was the debate between us, between him and who was the second guy that we were debating on who we'd want taking the last shot, game on the line?
I don't know who was second. I think
it was Aaron. You were saying you wanted Day to have the ball because he could slash more, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, because he can drive.
Yeah,
just to be able to potentially draw a foul if need be. It would depend on the score. And at that point, he was pretty hot. He's been kind of like this, kind of like my Dogecoin over the course of the last couple of years. You know, a lot of ups and downs.
Dogecoin?
Yeah, right now Dogecoin's up. Just saying.
Isn't it Dogecoin?
Whatever.
Yeah. My
Damn
Bitcoin's
Dodger,
going
boy.
crazy, man. I'm rich.
All right, what kind of podcast is this? So anyway, things about that were rich was that windmill dunk that Day Thomas threw down in this victory, 74-72, a big time victory for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Aaron, thoughts?
I mean, that was the best dunk of the season, in my opinion. I have not seen a better dunk. I know there's a mailbag question where we'll get into other dunks of the season, but yeah, I thought it was without question the very best dunk of the entire season, and only exacerbated by the fact that he's not the tallest player on the court at any given moment.
I was surprised exactly for that reason. I was like, damn. I didn't see that.
Got ups.
I know.
On press row, I was like,
he would have missed it though. If he would have missed it, oh no.
We'd be
well,
going
because
to
you saw
overtime.
what's that, Roy?
Said what? We won by 2, so we would have been going to overtime.
Would have been dicey, but yeah, no, he because if you remember, at the beginning of the season, he had a couple that he missed off the back rim and whatnot, just trying to make absolute posters. And then Wes in a press conference said, I love Day-Day's aggression. I love it. I want him to, sometimes take the easy two, just lay it in. And you saw like a little 2 to 3 game stretch where he had a couple fast breaks, and he did just opt to just lay it in instead of just lifting up. But man, Day-Day had like a little extra juice in him on Saturday. That dude was just shooting that rock top of the key, pull up, like getting past people. The best finishing I've seen around the rim from him all year, I'd say. And then of course that windmill, man. That windmill, that's some good vibrations off that sucker right there, man. But it's just another evolution of him playing alongside Jizzle James. Jizzle had a phenomenal game as well. I think that you work through the little growing pains that you had at TCU in the second half when they went with that 2-guard lineup, a little bit of a rough stretch there. It looked pretty doggone good. Jizzle recorded the most minutes played that he's had all season in the victory. So, hats off to him. But Chad, you've kind of mentioned it a little bit already. The resurgence of John Newman offensively, critical to the team's success down the rest of the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, he hit a couple big threes. He played with confidence offensively, which is something that he hasn't done a lot of. And I think some of that too is like you get to a point 11, 12, 13 games into, this is the first time anybody in the Big 12 has seen John Newman. And teams were doing a good job kind of, I don't want to say negating his strengths on defense, but like playing away from what he does really well. So I think he was at times so focused on being that like stopper that I think offensively he just wasn't as engaged. And John said this post game, like he can be his hardest critic to where you put so much of that pressure on yourself that it doesn't come natural, that you're squeezing an empty orange. Yeah. There ain't no more juice coming out of that thing. Like, relax. Go get another orange. And then you'll have plenty of juice. So to see him kind of, and some of it too, man, it's simple. It's like making that first three. That first, the rotation comes to you, you catch it, bang. And all of a sudden you're like, okay. And then they got out in transition a little more, like we talked about on Saturday night. Like that's kind of been the key for him to really find his rhythm. The teams that have kept them out of transition, that kind of that takes John away from getting that flow. So it's kind of a perfect storm for him. The 2 point guard thing, the nice thing is, and it's unfortunate that like the circumstances, if you will. With Dan being out, and then CJ's out, and then Jamil gets hurt, and Vic gets hurt, and CMOS at one point smacked his head on the floor, and he was like, so there's just a lot of stress on figuring out what's happening with a lineup that has been in flux kind of off season and adjusting and adapting, and they needed John to step up in a big way, and he did. On the point guard thing too, good to see them. They look like they're getting more comfortable playing together. The only way that happens is the more you play them together. I mean, you got to remember, like Ryan can attest to this. It's not apples to apples per se, but like you have in basketball, one team, the other team. Like in practice, like you're always against each other because you're the point guards. So you're never on the same practice team. You're always on opposite sides. So you don't get to build a lot of chemistry like you will. Like they, if there's two guards, they switch the guards on which point guard they play with. If there's forwards, they switch which point guards they play with. If you got 2 point guards, they go like this every day. So seeing them playing a little bit more together, what I think the TCU game, like the first half, it looked good, and then the second half, it was a disaster. Mm-hmm. The more hopefully you get them to play together, the more comfortable they are doing it.
Yeah.
How much do you think John stepping up was an effect of Dan being injured?
It was in there for sure. I'm sure that's in your brain of like, okay, like if you're John,
step up.
Yeah.
If you're John in your head, I'm sure you're in your mind. It's like, okay, Seamus and Dan are the wings that we're using to get offense out of, and our point guards. And I'm kind of like the stopper. Mm-hmm. Dan's out now. All of a sudden, okay, like I got to step my shit up, or we could be in trouble.
Yeah, kind of the whole thing. Yeah, all hands on deck. We need people to score now that our leading scorer is out with an injury. Obviously, the main thing that I think you saw the loss of Dan hurt the most was rebounding. Obviously, Kansas State.
Look, Brent, if you were unsure how good Dan is at rebounding,
right,
go watch what they lacked in the game Saturday. I mean,
if you don't know, now you know.
They did not look good on the glass.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just because, like, obviously Aziz did a thing on the glass. Vic had a good game on the boards as well. But that third rebounder, that is like a plus rebounder. And Jamil's had some good games recently, but that third rebounder that's a plus rebounder. We've been saying it all year is Dan. And he, obviously you lose him, so you lose the rebounding battle by 10, but you win it's just, it's awesome to see, knowing going to the game, they probably knew that they might not win the rebounding battle because losing Dan is that. But they said, let's focus on these other things. Let's focus on trying to get these things right, and then we'll be able to exceed and see if we can't win. And they were able to win. A couple things to mention real quick. The steals by Day. I mean, he's becoming a fascinating on-ball defender. He's now 49th in the country in steal percentage. Aziz Bandago was just patrolling the paint defensively. He's 74th in the country in block percentage, 44th in the country in defensive rebounding percentage. That's out of every single player in college basketball. CMOS over the last 8 games, I've got to mention this too, 42.6% from 3. So there's certain things that are kind of mixing together that are providing this boost at the end of the season to try and make a push and try and get a good postseason going. Royer, were you able to take in the action on Saturday night?
Yeah, I was hovering between that and Duke because I put a lot of money on a leg of a parlay on the Duke Gluto.
Well, then you did pretty damn well.
I know.
They were up by like 30.
I know, yeah. So the first half
did you see what happened? This man, some crazy, he like fractured his leg or something on Duke, like really bad from a court storming.
Yeah, I thought he almost died.
Arrest.
He had a windmill dunk too, kind of like old Day Thomas.
Do you think they're going to arrest Sister Jean at Loyola for being seen rolling around on the court before the game?
Did she storm the court too? Wow.
She did a pregame court storming.
I just want to hear Jay Billis lecture her on the danger of being on the court.
Man, did you listen to that? Did you listen to that part of my take? At all, Chad? that Jay Billis was on?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of cringy. He's him and Big Cap. Anyway, it was all about the court storming thing, which is just bananas.
Yeah.
Let kids have fun. Anyway, but yeah, Royer, your thoughts. A lot of positive things to take away, even though Kansas State made it a game at the end and almost freaking won it.
Yeah, it was, it's good to see them win a game at home. That's been very hard to come by. And, there's still like a sliver bit of hope. And it would have been like, all right, well, let's just get the dream stomped out at home. But I thought they played solid, especially without Dan, who's been one of their best scorers all year. Seeing the guys kind of step up and rally around that was nice. But still kind of like taking a game you felt like they had control of, and then just all of a sudden it's like completely just down to the wire of, are we just going to blow another game again? But they won. A win is a win, and they keep their very slim hopes alive, trying to make a run at this thing. So, I mean, you never know. And they gave themselves their little bit of chance. So I was proud. I was happy to just finally see a win on that home court.
Yeah, slim, but there's absolutely a chance. Like you said, if they drop that one, it'd probably be 0 unless they won the whole doggone Big 12 tourney. Yeah, it's just a great way to find a win. When I mean, Chad, like Tyler Perry was hitting some ridiculous shots.
Yeah, he's a good player. That's who he's been in his career.
Right.
He's undersized, but he's got some fearless to him. He's not afraid to take the big shot, no matter how ridiculous it may look when the ball's coming out of his hand. That three he made to take the lead was batshit crazy.
It was like a leaner. It was crazy.
Like to have the stones to take that shot with a game on the line is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's through the second half of the Big 12. He has become one of the better guards in the league. And you knew, look, they had to get up as much as they were because you knew that guy was going to give them a chance no matter what. It was a matter of could you hold him off or not, and they did. And Jerome Tang talked about this. And I think I talked about it with Aaron. I can't remember which game it was. Was it it was the Oklahoma State game where Cincinnati took the lead and Oklahoma State still fought back and won the game. Usually when a team takes the lead on you in that situation, it's deflating. It sinks your battleship somewhat. And Cincinnati didn't let that happen. I think that's part of the learning experience of going through this league is you're going to be in nut-cutting situations. You are going to be, the pressure is going to make a lot of diamonds in this league. You have got to be the team that makes the last shot. And they ran a beautiful play that if you're familiar with the breakdown that I do with Chris Lepore, you have seen that play before as we have broken down exactly like the principles of that play. The crazy thing is they had Day for a layup. He was wide open underneath the basket. Now, I haven't seen the angle from behind the play to see if Jizzles, if he had vision on that pass or not. But when Day makes that cut from the wing through the lane to the other side, he is wide open, and the defense has to react to that. And that allowed CMOS what that allowed, or what it prevented, was prevented the play being jumped because they knew CMOS was going to go set the down screen and then come back around on a double screen. They couldn't jump that. They had to respect Day standing under the rim with his hands waving. Throw me the ball. And it was perfect execution of a late game situation play. And boy, CMOS loves coming left to right, or right to left, sorry. Right to left off a screen and catching in rhythm right at the top of the key. Bang. He has got that repeatable motion down.
Yeah. And he's money, cash money. I don't know if you guys heard, but 5 end of game scenarios, he's hit 4 shots. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. But yeah, and it's good to see Vic continue his resurgence. Start a little bit in Houston, continued here. You're seeing some flashes. Really, you are of him getting back and just playing aggressive, doing his part to help win the game. Obviously, that little ankle injury at the end was, we like Chad always says, it's out of our pay grade to mention the update on that, but. Yeah, hope he's all right, but he's starting to come back into form. And then how about Aziz walling up on that final defensive stance when Perry was obviously just looking to draw a foul, one of the many fouls that they were able to draw against the Bearcats on Saturday. But in the end, Bearcats win, keep their slim hopes alive for the postseason, big dance. Those hopes take another big step in the right direction if the Bearcats are able to head to Norman, Oklahoma, take down the Sooners tomorrow night. That's another thing about the Big 12, man. It's a pretty quick turnaround. You play Saturday, and then you're going to either be playing Monday or Tuesday. Off chance, sometimes you play Wednesday, but you gotta get those that are hurt healed pretty doggone quick because you're going to travel a pretty decent distance to play your next game. So Oklahoma Sooners. They're 4-7 since they came to Fifth Third Arena and kind of had a weird win against the Bearcats in that game. Bearcats shot like 14 of 22 from the free throw line. If you remember that game at all, it was a not the prettiest game, but one that really felt like the Bearcats could have had it. But in the end, Oklahoma picked up one of their bigger wins of the season. Things don't seem to be going great in Oklahoma, if I'm being honest. It seems like there's a lot of just rumblings about weird things going on there, but it's a game that the Bearcats need to win. They're kind of walking in wounded after back-to-back games against Iowa State and Houston. Chad and Aaron, you guys have what's that?
What's that like?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I've never been through it. Ever been to look at? That's your guys' shtick. But you guys do the Sunday night Big 12 recaps. What have you been seeing from the Sooners since the last time these two played? Obviously, not the greatest stretch. The competition has been tough, but still they dropped some games they probably should have won as well. It's been kind of interesting for Porter Moser and the Sooners.
They've been inconsistent offensively. Like they're kind of in the same boat of Cincinnati where they don't have a number one. So they rely on their depth to provide that. They've gone through a couple stretches where they've had those nights where, one of those guys doesn't step up and have a night. And I mean, I'm fascinated to see how they come out Tuesday night because they had maybe one of the worst offensive games. They had definitely one of the worst offensive games of the season a week ago against Iowa State, where they scored 45 points in the game.
Yeah. And
then they come out and they score 85 on Houston and lose, or 83 or whatever it is, whatever the final was. So are they still do they come off of that Houston game like, look, we're pretty good and we're not going out like that. Like we're getting our shit together. Or what is the effect of playing those two teams back to back? I have to imagine it's physically exhausting.
And that was a Wednesday, Saturday too.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what their energy level looks like, especially early. And even if they come out hot, can you grind them out because they're beat up and they're tired? So it's a fascinating game. Hughley's not playing, I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Hughley's out, which he was a major factor for them offensively in that first game. He's a tough matchup.
Homecoming of sorts, yeah.
Yeah. So, Aaron and I both have kind of been on the same boat on Oklahoma all year. I have looked at this. They've won a bunch of games on the road. I've looked at this as a road game that's winnable for this team, but it's going to come down to if you don't have Vic and you don't have Dan and you don't have CJ.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden, your strength is not your strength anymore. You got 7 guys and Odie. Like, if those 2 guys are out, we're going to see Odie at times on Tuesday. Maybe it's the Odie Oguama game. Maybe we see exactly what happened last year. Remember, Vic got hurt. Odie had been kind of written off by the fan base, sent to Exile Island. And then came back in and had a strong finish. Now he doesn't get Tulsa and ECU, but who knows? Like we've seen that before of guys that get that opportunity, make the most of it, and especially Odie with a couple games left in his career. So it's going to be fascinating. There were some pictures of Dan at practice today in his uniform. I don't know if that means he practiced. I don't know. It's definitely a better sign than not seeing him at practice in a uniform.
And I also think that they probably would have avoided him in any pictures if that was the case. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah,
positive vibes, please.
Hopefully he can play because they're going to need him. And look, he had a terrible game against Oklahoma the last time out. He had 1 point. So he's going to want to show that he can play. So I don't feel terrible about this one. I think Oklahoma is a team that Cincinnati is pretty equal to, pretty even with. And I think they can go in there and get a dub. I don't say that often.
Right. I agree.
I haven't been high on Oklahoma since the beginning of Big 12 play, going all the way back to Oklahoma's very first game when Big 12 play opened. That hasn't changed, even with keeping up with Houston to the tune of 85 points coming off an Iowa State game, and losing with less than a second on the clock. We know what the grind is after coming off an Iowa State and a Houston game. And I'm with Chad. I don't think Oklahoma's going to come out hot at all. But we also know that the first segment, second segment, even tends to not be Cincinnati's best segment either. So all you have to do is be average to get a decent lead on Cincinnati in the first 2 segments more often than not. So
now here's the crazy part, though, Aaron. Cincinnati won the game after Iowa State and Houston. They went to UCF and won. Then they lost the next 2, but
the next 3, right?
Whatever. Whatever it was.
Well, the league doesn't make sense. Is really what it comes down to.
Guess what team went to UCF and lost this year? Oklahoma.
Kansas.
By 11.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing to try and look at them and see what I guess Rivaldo Soares has been entered into the starting lineup the last couple games, but kind of piggybacking off what you guys are saying, it's 3 games in 6 days for Oklahoma, and this is 3 of the more physical teams in the Big 12 that they're playing. So, go in there with the fire. Hard to beat a team twice. A little bit of revenge on their home court. See if they can't pull out the dub, and it would be a quad 1 win. It would be a big thing for a push towards the NCAA tournament. I mean, there's no denying you win the 2 games this week. You get 1, maybe 2 in the Big 12 tournament, depending on where you shake out there as far as seeding goes. Got to feel okay heading into Selection Sunday, but it all starts tomorrow night.
You're a piece of work.
Okay. I think bracketologists would agree. But yeah, so tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the beautiful ESPN Plus, the Oklahoma Sooners. That little turmoil down there, a little like Porter Moser maybe going back to Chicago talk. Who knows? Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see.
We will be live, me, Aaron, and George, post game.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you're there for that.
Let's timestamp this Real quick.
I don't want to. That's a quick
Okay.
paper supply timestamp, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Just for reference, they provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. So we're gonna riff with Royer. Royer, let's make these some quick hitters, baby. Let's get this rolling quick because we got to touch on some quick hitters for the spring ball day one as well, and also the mailbag. Luckily, the mailbag isn't super full today, so if not, this will be a 3-hour podcast, and we don't want to go down that path. So go ahead and riffing with Royer. Chad, the read, then Royer, your questions.
Fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative, New Riff produces award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. They also wrote that first phrase right there with the understanding that I wouldn't have had a couple glasses of New Riff because that's a lot of big words and I'm not very smart. The Aquafire tasting room located on the 3rd floor of the distillery features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery exclusive releases. I'd like to get my hands on a couple of those. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For more information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Boom, baby.
Those distillery exclusives, like, guys, come on.
Royer, take your shot, then ask the questions.
All right. Oh man, tastes so good. Yeah, I love that.
So uncomfortable.
You like that? Me and Brent's little gig we got going.
Got a little gig, man.
All right.
The two of you make the two of us very uncomfortable sometimes.
Really? All right.
Oh, it's just
there's
Brent
a lot more.
It's just Brent. Yeah, it's Brent.
Hey man, that's what I'm here for. Rip
the
away,
guy
Royer.
BY.
Let's go.
Guy BY. All right. So when we got Brian Brown, I feel like it was fair to say on the aggressiveness scale, I would have had him up around an 8 on aggressiveness for his defensive play calling. Like causing havoc, wanting to pressure the quarterback, get sacks, that being kind of like an anchor is kind of what I'm.
So I agree. That's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we saw very little of it because their secondary was so bad. And they didn't have that edge rusher to really like impact things, that they played a ton of drop coverage out of absolute necessity, and they weren't particularly good at that either. But I agree with your premise. Yes. Brian Brown wanted to attack.
Yes. So that's the premise we have for Brian Brown. Where do you, if we had him around an 8, where would you put Mr. Veit? Coach Veit.
I don't know yet because we haven't seen enough, but I would guess more in the 6 to 7 range. Like, I think it's still a part of what they want to do, but I mean, I was standing with Jim Kelly, the legend, Jim Kelly Jr., at practice today, and he was talking about seeing for the first time those 3 safeties back there. And as you know, he was a great wide receiver at Cincinnati. He said, as a wide receiver, when you see that, you're uneasy because once you're off the line of scrimmage, like you got the corner in front of you, but now with 3 safeties back there, any one of those guys could be looking to come and introduce you into a really bad day. And I can imagine as a wide receiver that's a bit unnerving to not know where those 3 guys are going to be. I think you have a much better, like when there's been so much 2 safety in football for the eternity of football that you kind of have a read. Like if it's man, this is where they're going to be. Are they playing a shell? Are they playing deep? Where where the safeties kind of determines, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Royer, but in modern football, it feels like reading the safeties determines the play or determines
The
how an
coverage they
offense
can
reacts to a defense.
Yeah.
And
They can
when
give
you
some
got
coverage tells.
when you've got three back there,
Oh yeah, you can mix it up a lot
throws
more.
off what an
You can
offense wants to do.
disguise. Yeah, you can disguise. You can shift your coverages mid play so like you could be aligned one way, but you can just rotate them in certain directions to kind of favor different zone coverages, or you can pressure. You can add the second layer of pressure, because blitzing a safety is a lot different than blitzing a linebacker or blitzing an on the edge walked up linebacker, because like you create chaos in front of these linemen. You just give half a second delay for this safety to just come screaming down. It's so much harder to pick up on blitzes, so much harder even for the running backs to pick up too.
Yeah.
Brent and Aaron, you guys sitting around the same rating as Chad?
Yeah. And for what it's worth, in one extra game, Iowa State played 13 games last year. They had 21 sacks, and obviously the sack number isn't directly tied to how much pressure they put on quarterbacks and the havoc and whatnot. The Bearcats finished with 18 in 12 games. So I'm with Chad, though. I think in a little bit more DB-oriented type of, flying around to the ball and making sure no big gains, keeping everything in front of you, aggressively tackling whenever the ball is coming your way. I think that is more for aggression at the line of scrimmage or a little bit past it. So I'd be at about a 6 as well.
Anything this season is going to be better than last season, and it's going to be the right kind of aggression. Last year, we had the personal fouls. We had guys doing things that they really shouldn't be doing on the football field at times. And I think that a lot of that's going to be cleaned up this season. And we're also going to see some actual aggression. So I don't know. I'm with Chad. I think last year that we saw somewhere between, what did you say, Chad? 3?
I mean, they wanted it to be an 8. Like that was their desire, was for it to be an 8. But
right,
by the time they got into conference play, they tried to bring pressure and just got destroyed.
I think 3 is probably being generous. I think that last year is probably at best 3.
3 is factoring in that they wanted to be an 8 and they tried to be an 8 and they were like, oh, we gotta turn that down. It's like like when you're listening to something like a channel or whatever streaming.
When you're listening to this podcast and then Chad talks and everyone has to turn it down because
that's a perfect example. That's exactly what I was getting at. Thank you, Aaron.
You're welcome. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm excited to see the aggression that I'm excited to see the aggression that Vite brings. Just because again, anything's going to be better next season than what last season was.
Cool.
All right, Roy.
Good answers, boys. How are you rating your excitement, and then how are you rating your expectations of this spring ball?
Excitement, 9.8.
You're that gassed up?
Why not? You got all these new names. You could finally put a little bit of tape behind them with the C-Paul on. I mean, you got Nico hyping them up before they go out there. You got Chad and Keegan on scene every day to get you fired up. You got Sorsby throwing dimes. I'm at a 9.8.
Brent, if you could bet on preseason, like on spring football, would you bet on spring football?
There are avenues to do that. So yes.
And Brent, what is your 10 being? This is gonna be like a perfect spring ball. You think the guys are gonna kill it, ball out with all these new changes, or where are you sitting at here? What are your realistic expectations for all these new guys and kind of efficiency?
Well, I mean, obviously they're gonna ball out at certain moments together. I don't know. It's hard, team versus team type thing. Roy, I'm sure you know that from your days playing. But I think we'll see some guys that are that are showing things, and if it's a consistently 4 straight days they're doing the same consistent strong things, I think they'll start to separate themselves a little bit. But you don't want to fall into any traps of feeling one way or the other too much. But I expect some names to start to slowly emerge and kind of be the guys that are balling out, and a couple ones that you say he's showing promise, but probably just needs to have a big summer and fall and see what he can do when the season rolls around. But I mean, spring ball is just fun for me because it's like your first look at the new toys. It's Christmas type feeling for me. So I like it.
This was Brent. This was a rich kid Christmas today.
Right. Exactly.
It's a lot of. There was a lot of toys under the tree.
Trying to figure out who under the tree.
Trying to figure out who the hell was who was, as Butch Jones used to say, a great challenge. He used to call every opponent a great challenge. Trying to decipher the roster today was a great challenge.
There we go.
As far as excitement goes, I say I'm probably, after last year, somewhere about an 8.
That's where I was going to say.
I'm excited to see.
I'll take an Aaron Smith 8. I will take an Aaron Smith 8, man.
I'm excited to see a lot of the pieces. I'm excited to see what this team looks like with some of last year's pieces out, and some new faces, some new just attitudes in, and just see what this staff can do now with just the hand that they've been dealt. You have had an entire offseason this year to kind of do some things. There's some new coaches in, and I think that the hirings by and large have been things to be excited about. So I'm just excited to see, kind of what Brent was talking about, what the toys look like once they're in action. We've seen the commercials. Now let's see what happens when you're actually playing with the toys.
Think that's fair? For real?
Like that movie. What was it? Toy Soldiers. Is that the movie?
Sure.
I don't know. Sure.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
No way. Anyways.
You know what I feel like, Brent, when I bring up a movie and you three look at me like I'm crazy.
It's Little Soldiers. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't watch
no,
that.
Small Soldiers. Small Soldiers. Finally, I got it.
I didn't watch that.
You guys got to see Dune 2.
Oh, have you seen it?
Oh, I think it might be one of the best movies ever.
What if I haven't seen Dune 1?
I got the popcorn bucket under my bed.
Woo! Woo! Getting weird over here on the left side.
It is. You got to see Dune 1 for sure.
Rewatched it the other day.
It is unreal.
I
think we actually have a Dune question in the chat.
I don't even know what that was about.
I'm excited for that.
Brad, do you want to break that down for us?
I saw it.
Do you think the Muad'Dib should keep smashing Shani instead of Jean Tatlock? You know what? I haven't seen Dune 2, so no spoilers. Craig Lawrence, get that question out of here, please. No spoilers. Thank you. All right, next question, Roy. Are you done? One more? Got one more?
One more. All right. I just feel like Chad's gonna freak out. Chad's gonna freak out. It's not stupid. It's just like, all right. So we're going with like the old guard versus the new guard, honoring our recent retiree.
This is stupid,
Mr. Kelce. If you had to choose to keep one and lose one, who you picking? Oscar Robertson or Jason Kelce?
Man. I used to pee next to Oscar at halftime of every game.
Getting connection issues here.
That's such a weird.
So he used to sit courtside, and we had the media seats were right next to his seats. So halftime would hit, and we would both go up and go to the bathroom to use the bathroom. So pretty much every game, I would pee next to Oscar at halftime. We didn't talk. We talked some. We didn't talk a whole lot. But that's my connection to Oscar. I named my kid after Jason. So I'm going to keep Jason.
Let's
and
go.
that'll be a controversial take.
I'm keeping Big O, and I'm gonna have to get rid of Jason.
Damn.
Solely
Hey,
because
look,
this
Oscar.
Leave it on it.
I think Oscar's one of the 5 greatest basketball players of all time.
Well, I mean, how much of the sports program, the athletic program, has been built on Oscar? I mean, I don't think that. I don't know.
What
I
the
didn't
fuck?
look. I didn't look.
He just held his hand.
Although at one point we went to we walked up and he got ready and I got ready and all he said was water's cold. Eating too.
God damn. That's a great
That's all I
question
know.
from Craig. Craig is going off tonight. He's hitting the chat hard.
All right, good segment. Let's go ahead and hit that timestamp. We got to roll into
Moving on.
Who you got, Oscar or Jason, Brent?
I mean, I got no comment on that, but you know what?
No, you have to. That's the
I love them
job.
both.
Your job is to comment. You got to pick one.
I love them both a lot.
Bullshit.
Can't get rid of the Big O. Can't get rid of the Big O.
So you're getting rid of Jason.
I didn't say that.
Hey,
all
look,
right,
man.
So, yeah.
Oscar didn't win a championship here. Just remember that. The teams won when he left.
Did football ever?
No. But they got there when Jason left, I guess, eventually.
They got hardware.
Yeah.
Who's a bigger advocate for Cincinnati?
Right now it's Jason. Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you were to bundle
Jason's
up all
also
of Oscar,
36 years old.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure Big O wore a CPAW when he was going to the games.
Red or black, but I don't recall many C-Paws.
Oscar is 85 years old. Give the man a break. He is 50 years older than Jason.
Was
Kelce.
Oscar's wife wearing Cincinnati Bearcats clothes to Super Bowl games?
I never saw Oscar's wife at the Super Bowl with the C-Paw on. I can confirm that. I don't. Maybe she did, but I never saw it.
Do not talk bad about Yvonne Crittenden, Oscar Robertson's wife. You know,
I'm looking
sure
forward
she's got
to
plenty
Oscar.
of Steeple memorabilia.
Looking forward to Oscar and his brother's podcast coming up soon.
Brent is so mad right now.
Do not talk about Henry Robertson and Bailey Robertson Jr. Oscar's two
He's
brothers.
on the
Sure, they're
Wikipedia.
great people.
They call it Old Heights.
That's not bad. That's not bad. All right.
Because they're tall and they're old.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Yes.
Very good. All right.
Bang, bang.
Quick paper supply. You're home.
Read it, Brent.
I don't have it.
Your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They service over 150 restaurants with weekly, low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. So for all of you guys that came here to hear some thoughts from Chad about day one of spring ball, here's the time. Aaron, leaving the chat. Well, chat. Obviously, you want to direct
BearcatJournal.com. You just go to
direct people to the
BearcatJournal.com
board,
and you can get.
this is a podcast, and you know what? You get paid handsomely for it. So I'm just putting that back. But anyway,
No, I make great money off this.
right. First day.
Should be making more than prorated me.
Should be making more.
I mean, I haven't yet. I haven't given you a total yet to send back to me. So we'll negotiate after the show.
Okay.
They don't make calculators big enough for that, Roy. Come on.
14 minutes minus 11 minutes minus. The problem with that, Ryan, here's what works in your favor. If I'm prorating you, the problem with that is this show is 14 hours long. So if you miss 10 minutes, it doesn't cost you that much money.
I
Because you're
know.
here for a long ass time.
I know.
You might actually have this figured out. I might have to start showing up 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Royer,
Holy
Chad makes
shit.
$1. Chad makes $1. Royer makes a dime. That's why you arrive to the podcast on your own time, right? That's exactly why.
Amen.
Oh,
Anyway.
boy.
Anyway, Chad, day one, from what I've been able to just gather, just quickly perusing your notes, and then John, there was a couple of videos posted on Twitter or X.com as well of Sorsby connecting on some dots. It looked like it was just kind of a good way to welcome in the new names, as we've already mentioned, and kind of a way to see that, you know what, Bearcats might have something in Brendan Sorsby.
The biggest thing is he just throws such an easy ball. I mean, it comes out of his hand clean. It's a tight spiral every time. But there's no pads, so we're not seeing what he looks like in a crowded pocket. Like right now, he's just kind of standing back there and stepping into throws and throwing them. So there's a lot more to come. But as far as first impressions go, throwing the ball 45 yards downfield with perfect accuracy, where guys are doing this, just, full stride, not hesitating, not slowing down, not having to speed up, but running their route. And at the top of their route, the ball is there. He did that. He had some back shoulder throws that we did not see in the offense last year, where guess what? If you're a great thrower of the deep ball, one of your biggest weapons is also the back shoulder.
Yeah.
Because the DB is playing to not get beat over the top, and that wide receiver stops and catches it here. It's a big weapon. I think there were, on a couple of the balls he did miss, I think it was timing stuff that, as it gets cleaned up, can be a nasty part of this offense. Like, you want to see a guy throw good, accurate intermediate routes. You want to see him hit checkdowns in stride, and you want to see him be able to throw over the top, especially on a day one with no pads, no pass rush, no, things that we will see as we get farther and farther into the spring. But first impression, flying colors. Like, he looked as advertised, and that's what you want to see. You don't want to
throw a better ball than Ben Bryant.
Yeah,
that's good.
And that's not a shot at Benny. Like, you
that's
guys, I thought Benny threw a really, really good ball. Now, again, day one, we'll see. But what he put on tape today was very easy to watch. There wasn't a whole lot to be like, all right, he didn't look good in that. A little too much heat on the checkdowns. The timing was bad on an out route. The things that check the boxes, he checked the boxes today. It's day one, maybe day two. Look, we've seen quarterbacks have a great one practice. Now let's see how he follows it up on Wednesday. But as far as today goes, the boxes were checked.
I'm ready to put him over Arch Manning, as Arch Manning opted out of EA Sports college football this year. You don't do that unless you know that you're going to be rated poorly. Brendan Sorsby, better than Arch Manning. You heard it here.
Wow. What is that?
Hang the banner.
You opt out if you're not ranked rated high enough in a video game?
He's
No, they basically have like a no NIL thing, the Mannings. The only NIL money he takes goes directly to a charity, and they haven't done any deals
Oh.
with anybody. So they basically just said,
Okay.
we're honoring that, and we're not doing deals with anybody.
we're going to give all the money to charity, but that charity, F that charity. We're not giving them any money either. Ha 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 ha. We're the Mannings. Bunch of lames.
No, Aaron's just creating myths, and little, conspiracy theories about Arch Manning.
No, he opted out. That's been
I
reported.
did
did.
see that, but
Yeah,
he didn't
that's
opt out
actual.
because he was going to have a low rating.
He's not the starter for Texas. He was going to have a lower rating than the starter at Texas.
What the Heisman Trophy favorite is the starter at Texas. Anyway. Absolute bum. Chad, one thing that we mentioned that we noticed throughout Big 12 play was just general size of the opposition. A lot of new faces coming in. One thing that you can see, I'm trying really hard on this first day of spring practice question. One thing you can see, even though it's just first day, is just kind of the overall look size-wise of all the newcomers. Do they kind of fit the bill of what you were able to gather? Kind of these bigger, longer, athletic players that these other Big 12 teams had throughout the season last year.
So I will say, let's say this the right way without not yet. So I think it's better. I think definitely, especially when you look at safety, corner, those dudes look more like the dudes in this league. And that's some of that is, and this isn't a shot at him, but Brian Threats was a tiny dude.
Right.
When you compare him to what other corners look like, when you compare him to what other safeties look like in the league, you're gonna look small. Yeah. So that's not how they looked. I think in the trenches, it's not as easy as people want to think to just okay, now we're all the way up. I asked Satterfield about it after practice today, and he was candid and kind of funny about it. He's like, the reality is it's probably going to take 3 years so that some of these young guys are going into their redshirt freshman, sophomore seasons where the frames get to the point that they match, what they look like as 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds.
Right.
Where they're not quite there yet on that front because it's going to take some time. But guess what? You got to win, so you buy yourself some time. Because the way it works anymore, you don't get a whole lot of rope. But what was that? He pointed out the Frank Beamer stat today, where his first 6 seasons, Virginia Tech did not win 6 games in any of those first 6 seasons. He would have been fired. He would have been fired in today's climate. Right. You do not get 6 seasons under 6 wins. Now, they played less games at that point in time. I think it was 10. Yeah. It might have been 11, but they played less games. But guess what? Then he won double-digit games for the next 13 seasons. But you don't get that rope anymore. So, making this transition is difficult because it's going to take a while to get an entire offensive line, an entire defensive line that all look like they're supposed to look and aren't on 1-year rentals,
Right.
So they're getting there. I thought on the outside, they fit that bill more, especially defensively. That was clearly a necessity, not even a need, a necessity. But yeah.
Aaron, your turn to ask a question.
My turn to ask a question on football. I don't know.
Practice today. We're
know
talking
that,
about day one of spring practice.
yeah, I mean, we know that
on football.
I was putting the mailbag together, and
We've moved on to baseball. Aaron, you got a baseball question for us?
there's one in the mailbag. We're covered. I guess for me, I'm just kind of curious. We found out today that Coach Veit is going to be moving to the safeties. So we kind of have our
That was
first
my question.
look. I stole it.
I just didn't. I was like, do we know what he's going to be specializing position coaching in?
I guess that's what I was going to ask is do we have a little bit more clarification on what the defensive coaching is going to look like at this point?
I am still figuring out some of it. Veit will be with the safeties, but I don't know if this is where my understanding of this new defense is evolving. Apparently, one of the safeties, like I think there's the traditional two safeties. The third of the the three safeties is called the star. And I think Veit might be coaching the safeties, and Fuqua might be coaching the star along with part of the linebacker group. Like I'm still trying to figure out exactly the intricacies of this new defense, even as it pertains to coaching.
Yeah,
because like Brian Mason, when Freeman was here, Mason coached the star position. It's completely different. It's not anywhere remotely the same. They just use the same name, but Mace coached the star position, and then Freeman coached the inside guys. I think it's a similar vibe to that, but I'm still making sure I have the proper lay of the land. But yes, my understanding is Veit will be coaching safeties. I just don't know if it's all three or if it's only two.
Okay.
We'll get there. Hopefully we're going to talk to him this week.
Okay. Well, and then of course on top of that too is, obviously Luke being a head coach, but he was also defensive first. Royer, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when with the DC itself, how much of it is like not only coaching your one position group, but being that main voice as the overseer of the entire defense? I think Luke being the head coach and also was defensive first, I think it kind of had a little bit more of a effect that he had on things. But I think now you have a DC that is in charge. I imagine he's going to have a little bit more of an effect over the whole thing as well.
He's going to be the commander in chief of the defense, whereas with Fickle, it was Fickle's the commander in chief, and then the DC reported up to him, and then they all reported up kind of in unison. So I'm thinking that Tyson Veit is going to he's going to have a lot more responsibility of knowing, like, game planning the whole defense and not just game planning like the safeties position room. And he's going to have to draft up the scheme, the calls for the week. And that goes for every single level of the defense. So he's going to be, hopefully he's up for the task, but he's going to be neck deep in the defense. It's going to be his baby. So he's going to own it.
I love it. Chad, if you're still here, just real quick, the early enrollees, freshman wise, thoughts on anything you saw from them. Obviously, big names are Samaj and the wide receivers, Cale Woodburn and Dakari Anderson.
Samaj, I think he overthrew 5 open deep balls today. So we're talking 45, 50 yards downfield.
So he can launch.
He can launch. He also threw some intermediate and short stuff as if he was throwing it 45 to 55 yards downfield. He's going to have to work on his touch, and we kind of knew that coming in. Great athlete, massive arm. He's going to have to learn how to dial it back a little bit at times. But for Day, I mean, I think Sat said what he did. He did 225 17 times.
So he's
Yeah,
like
I
a
think
Joe
that's what he
Milton.
Yeah, did 225 17 times is a true freshman just out of high school, enrolled early quarterback.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Didn't get to see him run. I mean, they're obviously not doing any quarterback design stuff today.
Right.
So, that's coming. Grady Johnson looks the part. Like
He looks like,
the part.
I don't want to say the name, but he in the pictures he looks like.
I'm not gonna say the name either.
Right.
But he looks the part.
Yeah.
That's that's part one. There were, as much as it, like, you guys, Ryan, did it with a lot of unorthodox recruiting that hit, but the dudes were the dudes. They were the guys that looked like guys, right? Derek Forrest looked like a big time safety. Kobe Bryant looked like a big time corner. Sauce looked like a big time corner. Alec Pierce looked like a big time wide receiver. Like, that's true for a reason. The measurables are the measurables for a reason. And 6'2", 175. That's how you want a freshman corner to look. Cale Woodburn is very skinny. He is also very fast. Like, he was running wide open down the field 3 or 4 times. So he's going to have to bulk up a little bit, but he can fly. Dakari Anderson, I know that Dave loves. Dakari is quick more than he is fast. But you need both of those types. The guy that can take the top off and the guy that can put a move on you, and all of a sudden he's running open over the middle of the field or down the sideline. So I liked what I saw from both of those guys.
What about the Brady's?
Lichtenberg was solid. Like, threw a good ball. Today is a good setting for Lichty, because Lichty can just throw the football, which he doesn't get the nickname the human jugs machine for nothing. Drogosh, it's difficult in that, he's not there yet as a passer. He's better, he's improved, but he's not, ready to step in on a day like today and look at, and it gets magnified, right? When you've got Sorsby throwing dimes, and you've got Lichtenberg throwing good balls all over the place, and then the young guys come in and they're off, it looks even more exaggerated than it probably is. So
that's because all eyes are on the quarterbacks.
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of, like, I think there was 2 quick team periods today, and that was it. So it's a lot of one-on-one, a lot of 7-on-7, a lot of individuals. So the quarterback is there on an island.
Yeah.
Not running the team, but just taking a faux snap and throwing, designed routes. Like,
right.
It's going here, it's going there. So yeah, I mean, Brady's improving, but he's still got work to do as a passer. He's not in the category of Lichtenberg, much less Sorsby at this point.
Yeah. Drogosh was named an Iron Bearcat from winter workouts as well. So
he's a monster.
He's a monster. Yeah, he's a monster. So yeah, young, freshman. That's a young guy. But that quarterback room is young in general. But kind of selfishly a little bit, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there as well that are wondering, did they do any specialties at all? Because I am just wondering who they might try and throw in there at kickoff return and punt return.
They did a little punt return, but there was a bunch of guys back there.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like it was just more of a one actually I didn't put this in the report, but Mason Fletch is still recovering from, what do you say, was a sports hernia or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was not punting today. So guys are just back there kind of grabbing whatever comes their way. So we'll get more of that as we get into some more special team stuff when the pads go on. You can't do a ton of special teams effectively without pads.
Yeah.
Ryan will tell you that is not a non-padded success.
No, you're not going to figure out who's got the skill and the what's the word? We'll just leave it at skill. Who's got the skill for those kind of roles? Because it's meant, because it's literally just all you can do is do like blocking pad drills, and it's like it can never simulate like the one-on-one battles.
Well, you can do like the here's your spot stuff, like
get to this way, but the effort of like getting there and then also connecting on a block, you can't do that. So, but sounds like it was overall successful day. I'm interested to hear, as day 2, day 3. When do they normally put the pads on in spring ball? Is it a weekend, or Royer? Do you know when back in the day?
I think it's 2 non-padded, and the third is you put the pads on, and it's contact on the 5th. Is that right, Chad?
I think it has changed some, Ryan. Like it used to be 2 strictly. And I know I'm going to speak wrong on a part of this because I don't remember all the details. It used to be like 2 practices, nothing but helmets and shorts. Like that's it. Now you can do the spider pads right away, which makes it a little easier to at least thud. You can't hit, but if you bump into somebody, nobody freaks out. So that helps. But generally, I think it's right, Ryan. They have 4 practices that are part of the acclimation period. And then, so what'll happen is, and it's smart to do it this way. They do 3 practices that are acclimation right before spring break. And then they go on spring break. They have 1 more that they have to get out of the way. And then on the 5th one, they can go live. So the second practice of the second week, you're pretty much full pads, like full contact. And you get the next 10 practices basically that way. And then the spring game.
Awesome. We'll have it all for you here on bearcatjournal.com. Let's timestamp and mailbag.
That is the Quick Paper Supply. Timestamp, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly dispensable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick at 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. You're on mute.
Boom.
Aaron.
Sorry, I was just finishing typing up the timestamp. Mailbag is super duper light, so the football portion of the mailbag, let's start off there. We are done with the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Which dunk gave you the confidence we would win? Number 1, Day Thomas Windmill with 13:21 left to go, up 12 points, largest lead at 64-52. Number 2, John Newman's dunk at 3:29 left to go, up 71-66. Or number 3, neither needed to see double or triple zeros, 4 zeros on the clock, however you wrote it, before I felt we were going to win. I'm hard.
0.
Number 3.
Zeros. Like dunks do not give me confidence. Dunks put 2 points on the board. I don't, I mean, I love Aaron. I know how much he loves dunks. You still only get 2 points for them. So I like them, but they do not change my confidence meter very often.
Dunks give me confidence that I'm going to be watching the replay about 30 times after the game.
Right. That was a great dunk. Okay, let's keep it moving.
But yeah, man, triple zeros. Even the fact that they had a chance to try and heave up a half court shot had me just shaking, like
For the win.
as nervous as you could possibly be in a game where you had so many ups and downs where you felt, oh, we're gonna get a net bonus tonight. Oh, we're gonna maybe lose. Oh, we're gonna win. Oh, wow, we could still maybe lose. So yeah, it's the quadruple zeros for me, 100%.
Ryan, anything else to add?
I'm gonna second that with Brent because I was in disbelief.
Royer,
All
how
of
much
us,
time would you need in order to prep yourself to dunk a basketball?
Oh,
Can you palm a basketball?
yes. Maybe 3 to 5 months. I'd have to. I can get it close, but definitely with the women's ball, it would make it a lot easier. So if we throw that wrinkle in there, maybe that goes down to 3. Strictly jumping exercises, starving myself, and I don't know. That's about all it would take.
Watching endless clips of Jordan and LeBron James. Chad, I did, yeah, a name that I did not, that I wanted to ask about that was not brought up, but you mentioned speed with Kel Woodburn. Kind of the same thing you saw at Tyron Smith at all today, just absolute burning.
Yeah,
speed.
small and fast. The Woodburn's bigger than Tyron Smith.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Smith's listed at 5'7", and Woodburn's listed at 5'11".
Yeah, right.
5'10". So Woodburn has a little more size than I expected him to, like length-wise. But he is skinny. I mean, Smith weighs the same at like 3 inches shorter.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, didn't see a ton from Smith today, but like the little bit I did get to see, he moves well. Just a smaller, shiftier guy.
Okay.
It looks kind of more like a running back.
Okay.
But sometimes those guys can be really effective in the slot and they make plays. Tyreek Hill's not big.
Nope.
The cheetah.
All right. Who has played the 4 the last 2 games? The combination of Vic, Jameel, Aziz has played 59 minutes in both games. I mean, someone played 19 minutes at the 4. It sure looked like Jameel, not all Vic, was playing some of those minutes at the 4. Thoughts?
Mostly Vic, but it did look like they had inverted them a little bit to get Vic some touches closer to the rim. But most of the time it was Vic at the 4 and then Jameel or Aziz at the 5. And then obviously Vic got a little bit of run at the 5 when he was the only one of those 3 on the floor.
All right.
Natty Ron, relax. We're not. This isn't where we cut down players here.
Your MVP so far, your 3 top
hard.
dunks, your 3 top dunks of the year so far.
That's a tough one right now. For a while, I was pretty convinced it was John, and John had a rough patch offensively, and Ron. Maybe I need to make this more clear. This is not the place we tear down players. Thank you. I mean, I think just because they've won 6 games and CMOS has won 3 of them. Like I think I have to go CMOS at this point.
Yeah, I'm seconding you. I'm seconding you on that. And my top 3 dunks would be the Day windmill, the Jameel Reynolds put back. What was that? Who was that against?
It was an angry dunk.
Yeah,
the one where he picked it up off the side.
And then the John Newman slash down the middle poster dunk. Those are my top 3.
I think those are the 3 correct answers, actually.
They don't stick in my brain, really. So, sure, I'll go with you guys. Those were all. I remember all three of those. They were all good. I think Dan probably has one in there somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, Dan's came in a loss. It was the Texas game. He had that awesome,
that's what it was.
Awesome poster on Hunter. But yeah, MVP, man. Like you said, Chad, it's a mixed bag. I mean, I think if you really broke down, like, and you went into numbers and you went into, kind of the analytics side of things, you could also make a case for Aziz.
That's who I was gonna say.
It's the defensive numbers are crazy. I think the offensive numbers are pretty crazy too, when he's on the court and when he's not on the court. And so, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be CMOS, just because, like, we lost so much shooting and CJ Frederick being hurt, and he's had to pick up for it, and he's done that and more. But
what, 42% over the last like 8 games or whatever? Yeah.
So it's hard.
I'm making the case for Aziz only because I think that CMOS is probably the most replaceable on the team. I think that
you're continuing with the bad CMOS takes. I love that you're all in on this.
I'm just saying,
even as he has played incredible, you are all in on. I don't like CMOS.
I think you can find somebody in the portal, either in the last portal or in the next portal, that would have been equal to, given the same amount of touches as CMOS has in a game, that would have been there. That if you're recruiting on the same level as somebody like that to come in and be a shooter, I think he's more replaceable than the numbers that Aziz is giving you. If you're trying to recruit like the same type of player Aziz is, we have Jamil, who came in as well, along at the same time as Aziz, and Jamil hasn't put up the same numbers that Aziz has put up. And I think that if you're talking about the most replaceable numbers, I think that CMOS's numbers, shooting numbers, are probably a bit more replaceable than the defensive numbers that Aziz has put up so far.
Okay.
If Landers Nolly sticks around, he is a better player than CMOS. Replaced. Done.
Okay. He's a different player, but yeah.
Just saying. I think that's what I'm saying. I think those numbers are far more replaceable than the numbers Aziz has put up.
I could really make everybody's head explode and go with Day-Day. Because his defense at the top of the Cincinnati defense has been elite for like 95% of the season, which if it was bad, they'd be in real trouble.
Chad, it's funny because like every single player you can make the case for it, and then there's that one but
his offense has struggled. He hasn't made layups. Right. He hasn't shot well from three.
That's the difference between a good team and a great team, though, right? If it was a great team, we would know inarguably who the MVP was.
Unless it was two guys that were both going to be first team all conference. And then we would be arguing about two guys. Instead, we've brought up 5-6 names in this conversation. It is the epitome of a team that is in desperate need of a first an all conference. In this league, it's not even first team all conference, Brent. It's all conference, period. Third team all conference dudes in this league are bad motherfuckers. They got the Samuel L. Jackson wallet from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
You know what? The funniest thing is
if you want to ever make me love you forever, someone will get me the BMF wallet for Christmas somehow, some way.
Okay.
Not
Aaron,
that one. I don't need the Aaron, the one that was in the movie.
You've got 9 months and some change to figure it out. I believe in you. But the funniest thing is we all named numerous MVPs, numerous people that we think could kind of fit the bill there. And not one person mentioned the leading scorer of the team, who obviously has had his moments where he was shining.
Yeah.
That's Dan Skilling. So
and who has gotten exponentially better on defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he has had a really good season. I don't think we talk about that enough, that Dan is not yet at the level where he's a great defender.
Right.
But I know everybody talks about offense, Dan.
Yeah.
If Dan Skillings can become a lockdown defender with the way he rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, I know everybody's like, who's the replacement for John? And they talk about Josh, as they should, because Josh has worked his ass off and gotten himself into a position where he's an outstanding defender. But if Dan takes another step defensively, that puts him at, 12, 13, 14 points a game, where he should probably be as like a second or third guy.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a great defender. Plus, he's one of the best rebounding wings in the country. Now you're cooking with gas on Dan. If Dan steps in as John Newman's replacement, but with more offensive pop.
Yeah. Well, because Dan right now defensively, it's like all athleticism that he length and athleticism.
No,
that he,
I disagree with that. I think he's
Well,
learned
well, no,
a lot. Well, when you compare to where he came in,
right. I'm just
he
saying,
has
yes,
advanced exponentially. Is what
like
I'm
that's the
getting
part where he's advanced. But I'm just saying, like his ability to like close out and get a fingertip on a shot. His ability to like if he kind of bites a little bit too hard on something, he's able to get back quickly. And so when that one side that you're mentioning, where it's his mental and his IQ and everything comes on, that he continues to build that side of things, it's going to be crazy. I mean, he's only scratching, as we've been told. He is. It's the truth. So
Give Dan Jizzle's Hezzy move, and I think he'd be exponentially
there aren't many
better
people
too.
that have that Hezzy move, Aaron.
Man,
yeah. Shouts Jizzle, man. He is fun to watch for sure.
And then the only other question in the mailbag, we gave the Skillings update as best we could earlier in the show. So that is the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving to the Banks portion of the mailbag. As promised, there is a baseball question. We have seen the football team and basketball team be exposed to different degrees and for different reasons. In the first year, jump to the Big 12. Coach Sat and Wes know what we need to do to get to the next level. Do you expect the baseball team to hit a similar wall in the Big 12, or could this be the sport that surprises everyone?
Well, I think the problem is we don't know about their pitching. That is, and even the head coach will tell you that he doesn't have a lot like
He did tell me.
Right. He did tell Aaron very specifically, like, we're going to be as good as our pitching. And I don't know how good our pitching is. So if there's somewhere, especially in baseball, over the grind of a regular season where, you get exposed a little bit, it's going to be if your middle relief isn't there, if the back end of your bullpen gives up, look at the Xavier game. I think they were up 8-2 and they lost 11-9. Like, that part of it is where you can be exposed a little bit in a conference like this when you're stepping up a level. So if they pitch well, they'll be competitive. If they struggle, they won't be. Kind of that simple.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it thus far already. And it's not going to get any easier against conference play, as there are a lot of teams in this conference that are vying for spots in the College World Series. And
I mean, the record looks okay, but you played a ranked team in Coastal Carolina and they put up 25. So
the losses have been they've been painful losses.
Right.
Is I guess what I was getting at.
I'm furthering your point. Like, they have been good against like teams. They have done a good job against teams kind of around their, when they've stepped up a level, it has not been where it needs to be yet, which I think Jordan Bishop kind of told us. He warned us of that, Aaron.
Yeah. This was a good week for them. They won 4 of 6 in the past since last Tuesday. But conference play is going to be difficult. I don't know that they're necessarily going to be surprising anybody, if you will. But
if you can pitch, you can be okay. If you struggle, it's going to be trouble.
all right. And the last question in the mailbag comes from Skins. Rapid fire. Least favorite vegetable, and why is it lima beans?
A lima bean is a vegetable?
Are you saying it's a legume?
Also a vegetable. Vegetarians eat beans.
Vegetarians eat fish. Are you saying fish is a vegetable?
Vegans eat beans. They don't eat fish.
Not pescatarians.
Beans, peas, and lentils are also considered part of the vegetable group, is what the Google machine tells me.
My answer is beets.
All right.
Oh, this is interesting. According to the USDA, beans, dried peas, and lentils are classified as vegetables. However, eating beans and lentils does not necessarily count towards your daily vegetable intake.
Whoa.
The USDA is a fucking shit show anyway.
Like that's a cheat, right? That's a shortcut. Like I ate beans, but they don't
I'm gonna have to go with
count in my dietary plan towards eating vegetables, but they're counted as vegetables. I think the beans are
Kale.
a fraud vegetable. I just realized beans are a fraud. I didn't know this until right now.
But kale chips, dog? Kale chips?
So kale, the benefits are great. The taste, if you just get kale leaves, or whatever the hell they're called,
Ryan,
it'll
you know what
ruin.
they used to do with kale when I was a kid?
Give it to rabbits.
What?
It was the thing you put on the plate that you weren't supposed
Garnish.
to eat. It was like decoration. It wasn't even a garnish. Like you can eat a garnish. It wasn't a garnish. Nobody ate the kale. They served you a steak and a potato and a little fucking piece of kale that nobody ever touched. And
Well,
all
no,
of a
the
sudden,
funny-
that's what we're all supposed to eat? Is the
funny
fucking
thing is-
shit that all my life
Pizza
growing
Hut.
up, that nobody ever touched it.
Pizza Hut came out and said at their little like buffet places
Yeah.
that kale was the green stuff they put around like all the dishes,
Yeah.
like just on the
To
on the
keep
platform.
germs. Like it was
Decoration.
Like, it was not to eat. It was decoration. You did
Hey.
not fucking eat kale in the 90s.
Every once in a while, I trick myself that I'm like healthy, and I go get a nice kale Caesar salad from this little place down the street. It's pretty good,
But anyhow, Ryan, yeah.
Then
I can't eat onions. Like we've talked about that. Are onions a vegetable? I believe onions are a vegetable.
Yeah.
The
I
answer
can't
is
eat
beets.
onions. Beets are beets a vegetable or a fruit? I think beets are a fruit.
Vegetable.
They grow on
No,
the ground. They grow on the ground. They're not on a tree. I'm actually gonna.
Sure.
I'm gonna go.
I thought they
I'm
were a
gonna go with
fruit. That's
Brent.
my bad.
I'm gonna go with Brent. There's not a situation where I can think of that I would eat a beet.
and my mom damn loves them. I'm like, what are you doing?
Can I be honest?
Huh?
I don't think I've ever tried a beet. I think I just
Oh, no.
assumed they were gross, and I don't think I've ever eaten one in my entire life.
I was
What about?
I was
what about some
dangerously worried.
radishes? You like radishes? That's another one. Like,
I don't mind radishes on a salad.
I
Sliced
was
up radish, like
dangerously
real thin.
worried that your can I be honest was going to be that you didn't know the last time you ate a vegetable.
No, I eat vegetables, corn,
All right.
green beans,
Corn
baked
is
beans.
starch.
Apparently, I didn't realize baked beans. That was eating vegetables
all right,
is
with brown
starch. That
sugar
doesn't-
and barbecue
corn-
sauce
corn
and
doesn't-
bacon.
okay, as the
corn doesn't
healthy
count.
one in the group, Royer, what was your answer? Kale.
Aaron, beans don't count. The
Neither does corn.
USDA says so.
Kale is my answer.
Okay.
Yeah, he already answered kale.
You know what?
All
I'll
right.
be honest. I used to hate Brussels sprouts. Them bitches is tasty, man. I tell you what.
Yeah, if you do them right,
Oh yeah.
If,
Really
bake
if
those
you're making a
suckers up
san-
a little.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making a sandwich, what are you putting on it? Ryan, you've got to start this one.
Oh yeah, you're the sandwich man.
Sandwich. What am I putting on it? I feel like any sandwich will go. If you put spicy mayo on any sandwich, I feel like it will.
Doesn't matter what it's in the
It
sandwich.
can make it.
just
Yeah,
spicy mayo.
You can roll it
can-
up with a piece of turkey.
yeah.
You know?
So
roll a
that
joint with
that
turkey?
is
Yeah, man,
that
I'm
is
young.
my
Young one.
if you're making a sandwich, what are you putting on it? I feel like that's the universal answer. It could go on anything, but
Russ has got you. The correct answer is bacon.
bacon, yeah.
You can add bacon to any sandwich, and it's great.
I just love a ham, turkey, pepper jack, lettuce, just like a simple, like make it at home, take it out of your fridge. Like
Yeah.
I think that just perfect. Or like a bagel deli sandwich. You can't go wrong with that. A little bit of salami,
You know what I'm late in
prosciutto,
life too? I'm late
fresh
in life
mutts.
to pastrami. Pastrami, I'm late in life too.
I haven't really gone into that one.
I really like pastrami. It's just brisket, spiced brisket. It's like brisket.
Yeah.
But instead of like smoked
very good.
brisket, it's so
That and
I've
roast
got-
beef, man. Roast beef is good.
Yeah.
pastrami. Yeah, I've always loved roast beef. Pastrami with a good like ground mustard. Like I've got a spicy beer mustard that I use on pastrami sandwiches. That's delicious. But I don't like a lot of frills on my sandwiches. I don't like meat, cheese, sauce, lettuce is okay. Maybe some banana peppers.
Ooh.
Tomatoes are gross on a sandwich. I don't like the texture. I'm a texture guy, and tomatoes on a sandwich, they don't do it for me.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a
No.
hot dog.
I was gonna say a BLT in the summer on toast with some mayonnaise. Pretty
Oh
good.
wow, Aaron.
A
Aaron,
BL,
there you go, baby.
just a BL, no T.
Maybe a little hard boiled egg on there. Some
Ooh.
avocado.
Yep. Can I put a fried
BLT
egg in place
egg.
of the tomato? Like a bacon, lettuce, fried egg sandwich. That's pretty damn
Just
good.
saying, on
BLTA.
toast. On toast, I'm here for that. That's
And
that's
then now you've got a
good
club sandwich. Very good. Very good.
Not if the base was the BLT. Fine.
What about a BAT?
Bacon, avocado, tomato.
I said I added the avocado on mine. Yeah.
BAT sandwich?
Yeah.
The bat.
We call that bat where I'm from.
Yes,
So
sir.
veiny. Death row
Mom,
version
take another
for
bat.
spirits. Death row version for spirits. You get to have one last drink. What are you having?
Oh wow.
New Riff bourbon.
New riff, yeah. Absolutely.
What kind of stupid fucking question is that?
Yeah. Do you even listen to
That's-
the pod?
That's a new riff chasing the Turtles brew, right?
right.
Right.
I mean, it was just like a turtles brew. You get a glass of turtles brew, like you get a glass of sweet tea.
Yeah.
You get the
You're
lemonade
better
tea.
than that, Skins. Come on, man. Jeez.
But so here's the question, I guess. Like that's the big Aaron. The turtles brew thing kind of doesn't play if you get one last drink. Are we talking one last drink, or one last night to drink?
This was you get to have one last drink.
Everclear.
Oh, like one swallow drink.
Everclear. Oh no.
No, God no.
Rumplements.
You still have to have another drink after that. Like to
Right.
get that awful taste and burning sensation out of it's pure gasoline.
You lived a troubled like young adulthood. Everclear, Rumplements.
If social
That's
media
good.
was around 10 years earlier, I'd be
You would not be here right now.
I'd be
Yeah, I'm
Steve
confident
Woodward.
in that.
I'd be one of those
Why
dudes.
is this? What?
Follow-up
What
What were
question.
you on, man?
I'd be one of the boys, man.
Follow-up question. Been a rough week for my wife's health, and I've been trying to use humor to keep her spirits up. Would it be wrong for me to act like Ray Charles because she needs to have cataract surgery?
So Stevie Wonder can see. So don't be Stevie because, well,
Correct.
actually, maybe you could be Stevie because you can see. So, like, you just act like, like you put the glasses on and you tell people you're blind, but then they come over to your house and you turn a movie on and you're like, let's watch this movie. So I would go Stevie Wonder. Maybe
For the
Ebony
comedic
and
effect.
Ivory and wait for her to sing the other part.
That's the show. Get us out of here, Brent.
Well, you know what, guys? It was fantastic. And you know what, guys? We're still bubbling. We're still bubbling. We're still popping. We're not popping. We're bubbling. We're bubbling. That's right. It's bubble time. Big game tomorrow night. Oklahoma, the Sooners. Make sure you tune in. Spring ball still going on throughout this whole week. Make sure you lock in. But you know what, guys? We did it here. Big shouts to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Big shouts to Quick Paper Supply. Big shouts to New Riffing with Royer, my favorite segment. But for my guys, my pals, the crew, the squad, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young again. Yet again, another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.